The following podcast contains spoilers.
This is the Bunzarelli Show.
All right, this is the Bunzarelli Show. My name is Joe. I got Khiim with me. Khiim, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, you?
Good. Khiim, before even starting the show, gauging from the internet, like big podcasts and small podcasts, there's this like theory about the continuity being broken. And it goes, like I'm saying, it's going all across the spectrum. And I'm not seeing it. I'm breaking it down. And I want to get your thoughts on this because I don't see. It's like it's like the official stance. Like, what do we feel about this? Because I don't see the problem. So this is the message that Leia sends to R2 to Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Because everybody's saying, oh, she can't know who Obi-Wan is. She needs to have her mind wiped. And I watched another podcast like us, and they were like, man, if she doesn't get her mind wiped, I'm out. And
Yeah.
I'm not. Here's the message. So the message is General Kenobi. And I'm just gonna read the parts that refer to their relationship because General Kenobi, years ago you served my father in the Clone Wars. Now he begs you to help him in his struggle against the Empire. I regret that I'm unable to present my father's request to you in person, but my ship has fallen under attack. I'm afraid my mission to bring you to Alderaan has failed. So what I'm saying is, what part of this message does it say that she can't know who he is?
Yeah, that says, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, and it's like, even if she found out some of this information, and it's like me saying to you, suppose like we stopped doing this, and then like we were going to do another podcast, and I said, or somebody else came to you and said, hey, Khiim, you were on the Bunzarelli Show.
Yeah.
They're telling you you know. It's okay, you know what I mean? Like, she's like, of course Obi-Wan's going to say, duh, I know this stuff, but I'm taking it as she's saying this stuff to bring a point to him.
Yeah.
Like, because she doesn't. And even if she did or didn't, at the end, she's going to learn more about Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Right now, she just thinks he's a Jedi and her dad sent him to go rescue her. But, later it's going to be like, tell me about this guy, and she'll find out more. But even if she knew it now, I don't. Do you see a continuity issue?
No, I don't see a continuity issue, and I didn't even hear about that gripe. And like, to me, just reading or listening to that piece of dialogue, it doesn't even seem like something to gripe about. It just seems more so like exposition from a writing standpoint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's something that was needed to push the story forward through a character. Not necessarily addressing a character's relationship with Obi-Wan.
And that happens all the time too, where they're saying stuff that's like, duh, why are you saying this out loud? You're saying it for us, the audience.
Yeah, they're addressing the audience. They're not necessarily addressing the character.
Yeah.
It's exposition.
So and maybe it was just like the two people. It was basically because one of them was a bigger podcast, and it's like, because they're guys that are older than me, so they're OT first before the prequels. Like that's their bread and butter there.
Yeah.
Obviously they watched them all, but it's like, so they're looking for that line, but I think maybe they missed something, and like, because I'm like, I watched the video, I'm like, what am I missing here? And like, what's the thing? So I'm just clarifying that I'm not the only one that feels that way. Really, the thing I had trouble with, the one that was going to bother me the most that I was letting slide because I'm enjoying the show, was the Grand Inquisitor. That was really bothering me, and I was trying to play it off cool because I'm like, I just don't like them throwing Dave Filoni's stuff in the trash like that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
here we go.
Yeah, we saw that worked itself out pretty quick. Like, oh, there he is.
Yeah.
But how did you feel about this episode? The way it opened up, you got Anakin. What did you think about that?
Honestly, this episode I will say is like single most like best piece of content I've gotten from the Disney, period.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this episode. It was something that I can like remember walking away seeing these movies as a kid. Like afterwards you kind of just have this buzz. You have this feeling inside of you like, oh man, like I really just saw something, And I feel like that's something that's been missing out from pieces that they've been giving us. Yeah. We get this cool dialogues and all this, and they give this fan service, but there really hasn't been that generating like buzz feeling afterwards. And this episode delivered on it.
And it didn't just like pander, like, oh, here's your cake. Like it did a lot for the story.
It definitely did.
I mean, like, first of all, obviously Hayden and Ewan are older.
Yeah.
But they didn't try any fancy stuff, and it was okay. Yeah. It was like, I don't care. Like, I'm just glad you guys did this. Like, you had the balls to do it.
Exactly.
And they did it. But what it did was the conversations and the things they're doing during the duel are reflecting with what's going on in Vader.
Yeah.
And you could see, like...
the mindsets of both of them, how they approach difficult situations.
And they both know each other.
Exactly.
They both know how each other operates, and they're telling that through the story. So it wasn't just like a gimmick, which I would have been fine with the gimmick. That's when they were first doing that. I thought that's what it was.
Yeah.
And I thought like, okay, the Ahsoka cameo's coming, but obviously this is Attack of the Clones era Anakin, because you see he's got the Padawan.
Yeah.
And it was better. They could do that stuff. Now that they've broken this, they could do that in Ahsoka. That would mean more there.
Yeah, definitely.
To tie it together, to be like, because... yeah, she's from the cartoons, the Clone Wars, but just that little bit, just to be like, okay. And they're kind of opening up that door anyway, because they're mentioning other Jedi that you haven't seen. That like Qui-Gon Voss was in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I love it. This episode was amazing.
And once again, what this is doing, the most important thing this show is doing, because we know Obi-Wan lives, we know Vader lives, we know all these, but what it's doing is it's really cementing that Vader Anakin thing, which is really important to the whole saga.
Super important. It's super important.
Instead of just being that leap.
And that's why I think when it came to the prequels, how people didn't like the prequels as much.
Yeah.
Now that we're getting all this stuff, people are looking back, and because we got to see that relationship between Obi-Wan and Vader, it cements stuff so much more.
Yeah.
And this is just capitalizing on it even more.
And it makes when I watched the scene, and I know you're about to go to the shows again.
Yeah.
And I am too, because I'm ready for it. But when I was watching the clip, even Obi-Wan's reaction to stuff, you kind of read into it a little better.
Yeah.
It really gives a lot to both. Like this show, the one triumph it's doing is it's giving weight to both the prequel. It's adding to both.
Yes, yes, it is.
Because now when you see like Obi-Wan just sitting back looking at the message from Leia, and he knows it more, and the fact too that Bail Organa is actually showing that he knows more and more than you couldn't really gauge too much at the end of episode 3 because everything was happening so fast. Yeah. But the fact that no, he understands the importance of these kids, the importance of everything, and like he's, even though it's his daughter and he's worried something happened, he also knows in the bigger picture. Yeah, he's got to go help with Luke, and he knows Owen. And we got to get to that part too, because Reva knows Owen specifically. I forgot that
from that first episode.
Yeah, now all of a sudden that makes sense because she knows exactly where to go.
Knows who he is. Yep.
Yeah. And I want to zip to that because I got some theories about what's going to go down there. But there was so much happening in this. I can't. Vader. Yeah.
Vader. This was the best, in my opinion. This was the best piece of Vader we got as far as seeing him fight. You know what I mean? Like I've never seen that.
No,
I've never seen that from Vader. We've always either seen him really clunky and slow.
Yeah.
Or we saw like a really cool, I forget which
Rogue One.
Rogue One. We saw the cool hallway scene.
Yeah, I like this better.
This was amazing. You know what I mean? And then I was watching it with my fiance, and she's wondering like, oh, well, how come he's so much stronger? And then I had to break down to her, well, because he was mutilated, Sidious made him this suit that enhanced his force powers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did it enhance it, or was he just always powerful?
He was always
the chosen
powerful,
one?
But the suit also enhanced it. So he had this raw, that's why he was such a force he is. But you can see he's still slow, but he has because he was inspired off of samurai. His whole look was inspired off of samurai from the Japanese era.
Okay.
And you see that when he's fighting against her, how his quick side moves, he just sidesteps. It's not really like the other Jedi or Sith leap and bound and jump around and swoop under each other and stuff. His is just precise movement, precise counters, strike back. And just to see that he didn't even need a lightsaber to fight.
Yeah.
It was just straight force. You're not hitting me. And then I don't know, that whole sequence, it really just gave me goosebumps. Then the part where he takes her lightsaber, breaks it in half and gives her half. Yeah. And that came down to more of the thinking of how the old Sith were with the rule of 2.
Yeah.
Every Sith Grandmaster knew at some point my following is going to try and kill me. I expect that that's part of the rule. I expect them to try and overtake me. So he already knew in his mind. It was great.
Yeah, and he was like kind of toying with her too.
Exactly.
Like, oh yeah, let's do. Because first he grabbed it, I thought she was going, and he just broke it in half. Talked to her. He's like, let's do this.
Yeah,
that was cool. And there's so much going on in this episode.
So much.
But it's better. I like him better this way than Rogue One because I could picture this Vader fighting Obi-Wan. Even that lightsaber fight not being as good. Obviously, it was the first thing they did.
Yeah.
But it almost makes more sense now.
Yeah.
Because it's like, because Vader physically isn't going to move that fast. So he's going to depend on other stuff like the Force and things. And then he just out-bested fenced her and a lot of force. Because you even think about like him with Luke, like he's just swinging that stuff around the building.
Yeah.
And even when those scenes with Luke were better choreographed, it was still like the basic, there's no way you're going to do backflips with robot legs and stuff.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan is older, and he just, what do you need? You know what I mean? They're not fighting on that level anymore. The Reva stuff. So Reva turns out to be
neutral, kind of.
Well, the youngling.
Yeah.
And then she's got her plan with Vader. She's got the long game.
And she's still alive. And I think you called that on the last episode, too. You said that you thought she would have something to do with the Padawan.
Yeah.
You thought you had saw her as a little girl in there. So, that checked out.
I thought, how does that make her an Inquisitor, and why is she with Vader? But that was the thing. She was planning on killing him the whole time.
To him, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Should probably have some grand redemption. I feel like they always, whenever it's a character who's just like overly trying to be bad, and it just seems like no matter what, they're just going against they're always the opposing force. Even when it's the same team that they're on, that opposing force, she's going to get some kind of redemption arc.
I have a different theory. I think she's going after Luke.
Yeah.
And I think that surprise, because to do a fight with Obi-Wan it'd be too weird.
Yeah.
Obviously Obi-Wan's going to do what he has to do to protect Luke.
Yeah.
But also Obi-Wan has got Vader on his tail. And it just seems like I would be okay if they didn't fight again.
Yeah.
But I think from a show perspective, they kind of think like we better have them fight again. Because they're I don't know.
Obi-Wan and
Vader. I don't know. But it doesn't. What I'm saying is, it seems like from episode structure, it seems like. But if you make the whole episode, you're starting with Vader on his tail, and Reva's going to Tatooine. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm thinking Owen's going to kill her. I think that would be the surprise.
You think so?
I think maybe Obi-Wan does get there. I just can't see her besting Obi-Wan in battle. But
I don't think so. That's why I think it will be some sort of like redemption arc kind of thing, to where she, she comes full circle, because she's not doing it out of wanting to hurt anybody else. It's out of revenge. It's revenge for what happened against her from Anakin, essentially.
Yeah, but
that's her main driving force.
It was.
And at this point, I don't see her capturing Luke. How's that going to benefit her? Vader's not going to be like, okay, you got Luke, come back. I'm still going to kill you.
But I think she's thinking she's going to kill Luke to get at Vader.
Yeah.
Even though Vader doesn't know, but she'll eventually say that or something, or some kind of revenge. Also, I think there's a revenge for I think she feels played by Obi-Wan too.
I don't think so, because Obi-Wan was reaching out to her. Obi-Wan was saying, I will help you. Let's do this together. And she's like, no, screw you.
But when Vader said...
There's no reason for her to feel betrayed by Obi-Wan.
Yeah, but Vader kind of said Obi-Wan was wise to use you against me.
Of course.
And then it was also could be like...
But that's to her own doing.
No, I'm agreeing with it, but I'm just saying her in her head, she might feel that way.
Yeah.
I just don't see... they just set it up like she's going there. Something could still turn around and she might be okay. So that's true. There's no, maybe that is the more predictable thing too, where she just...
I think she'll be some sort of sacrifice, but it'll be a redemption arc sacrifice.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because she's really just been this unlikable character. Like, why are you so hellbent on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it'll kind of bring that character around to give them that feeling of like, okay, we can appreciate this character now, versus just you were an a-hole the whole time.
Yeah.
I
don't. But Vader's not going to Tatooine.
No, he's not.
Like, there's no. So they're Obi-Wan and Vader are gonna, whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen in space.
Yeah.
And then that's it. So it's Does Obi-Wan get there in time? I don't know. That's the cool thing is there's a lot of cool stuff to look forward to because also if you're thinking like, what's the one thing we haven't seen yet is Qui-Gon, and they kind of were quiet about Qui-Gon this episode, but
not one mention.
I still feel like it's coming because they mention him too much for him.
Yeah.
To not show up.
I agree with you on that.
And it's almost, that was another theory, but it's a long shot, a very long shot. But it would be cool because people would go like, it'd be like the Captain America picking up the hammer moment.
Yeah.
Where it's like she turns, like she's going in for Luke. She turns, she goes, "Who are you?" And then all of a sudden you see Ghost Qui-Gon just standing in front of her.
Yeah.
And then, like he talks her down or something. It would just be one of those kind of scenes. That's a long shot one, but that'd be pretty neat. But I don't know what Qui-Gon's going to say to her, but.
Yeah, what can he say?
Yeah, like,
like
whoops, my bad.
Hey, you shouldn't do this. Okay, I'll listen to you.
Yeah, random Jedi ghost.
I guess I'll listen to you.
Yeah. The Jedi think it's good to me so far.
So do you think at this point, Obi-Wan's about to just be like, Leia, you're good now? I got to go? I think that's where we're going to pick up next episode.
I believe that at this point in time, the Empire is still playing ball with the Senate. I think they're going to use Reva as an excuse to wipe their hands clean of the princess thing.
Yeah.
And that would be an interesting twist, too, if you see Vader just straight up bring Leia back to Bail and be like, she got in the hand of a rogue, whatever, and just, but still, like, scared the shit out of Bail.
Yeah.
And Bail would know. Like, that would be a pretty tense moment. And you almost have Bail wondering, like, how did she... That's a little weird one, too. I'm just throwing everything out there.
Let me ask you something, because I'm not too clear on this.
Yeah.
At this point in time, does Vader know that these are his children?
No.
No?
No,
it wasn't until completely later when he found out.
Yeah, he finds out. And remind the audience too. He finds out about Luke sometime between. It's never actually the moment shown, but it's sometime between A New Hope, Empire. Okay. Empire Strikes Back. And actually, first it was just assumed that he found out somehow. Then they added a scene with Ian McDiarmid. Where he goes, I think this is the son of Skywalker. Yeah. And he's like, how's that possible? But yeah, really, it was like if he just said like he heard the name Skywalker, which even that would be enough because he hasn't.
Yeah.
But no, he doesn't know he finds out somewhere around Empire. He finds out, and then Leia he finds out in the final duel. He's like, twin sister, and that's so yeah. Vader doesn't know now, which is but Vader was with Leia in A New Hope. So it's like for him to cross paths, that doesn't break any continuity either.
Yeah,
and I'm not harping on stuff. I let some stuff slide, like like Darth Vader building C-3PO, like whatever. It's a small galaxy. It would be cool to see like how Vader reacts to this Leia for a second.
Yeah,
because we know he has seen Leia before, and Leia
some sort of interaction between the two. Just
a passing something or like a raised eyebrow.
Yeah,
but I don't know how good they could do it. That would. But like we said, the first opening scene of A New Hope is Vader and Leia.
Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering because I feel like Vader is too wise at this point or too tapped into the Force to come across and not get some sort of vibe of like you're of significance. You know what I mean? If he can be up in space and he's sitting here and him and Obi-Wan are basically playing mind games back and forth through the Force.
Yeah, maybe he won't
be somebody that powerful and come across a young Luke or a young Leia. I feel like it would almost have to be to where like you don't come across them.
Yeah, it's almost too risky.
Yeah, it's too risky to have that person next to you and not notice like you're my daughter or you have some Force sense of Padme or anything. Because even Obi-Wan's sitting here saying like you remind me a lot of Padme without saying it.
And even if you could say, well, George Lucas made that mistake in A New Hope, but at least like let's not dig into it too more. Let's make that because then they'd have to have Dave Filoni explain like the behind the scenes shit. Well, I thought that and he'd make it make sense, but you shouldn't have an explanation for the show to why this stuff corrects itself.
It should just make sense itself.
Yeah. I don't think you haven't seen Boba Fett, but after Boba Fett, they actually there was some story arcs they took, and they're actually explaining the story arcs.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's cool, but you could have explained it better in the show. Made it make more sense. You telling me is great, but like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think you're right. I don't think they're gonna mess with Leia. I think it's too, and it's unnecessary, kind of.
It'd be cool though, but at the same time, it's sketchy territory.
So Tala died. I thought Tala was gonna make it over to the next show. Mm-hmm. But then we got O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about him last week, but I was excited to see him just because
definitely.
First of all, I like Ice Cube.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I had every Ice Cube album.
Really?
Like, I think the last one I had was War and Peace, Volume 1 and 2.
Okay.
And then I kind of stopped there. I got into Dre and Snoop as a kid, and I'm tangenting off the rap. But I was like, oh, Ice Cube. I actually remember I said to a friend, I was like, man, these guys should do an album together. And they're like, they did. I was like, what? And then I found more. I got like this wormhole of rap. But I watched the NWA movie, and I was like, oh, this is because we all knew O'Shea Jackson Jr. is playing Ice Cube. Cool. I got to like him from that because he looks like his dad and he's doing his dad. I'm like, oh, so to see him again was just kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. And then still just see, like, even outside of character, you're just like, no, you look like your dad.
Yeah, he looks like Ice Cube. Ice Cube hanging out with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, you never thought I would see this.
Ice Cube light.
Yeah, Ice Cube light. like how close is that? There was people thought because that they knew he was on the IMDb and he was coming. People thought he was going to be Qui-Gon Voss, the other Jedi.
Okay, yeah.
When they heard Qui-Gon was coming, they thought Qui-Gon maybe was coming from the last episode. But I like what he's doing.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's somebody like I thought Tala would. He could survive and go somewhere else. A lot of these characters, because the way they dip into different time periods, they like Ahsoka. Ahsoka pops up in different. They're not all destined to die.
Yeah.
So maybe he'll do something moving forward, especially because I still think this path is a part of the rebellion. So if he makes it over to Andor, and that's something that makes you a little more, that's something going in that you would be like, because like we talked last week, like what's the excitement of this Andor thing?
Yeah. What importance does it have? Yeah.
And we don't know because like what we're watching now is a time period that's, the thing about the Star Wars saga is, and we had this conversation. We started talking about like Marvel and Star Wars last week. But the whole thing with I think the big problem Marvel's got is when you're watching Marvel and you hear these things are happening and you're seeing like multiverse of madness. So our whole thing with Marvel is like, what are you guys going to do next?
Yeah, it's open-ended always.
But we're always thinking like, is this it? Are the X-Men coming?
Yeah.
Is this happening? Is this happening?
Yeah.
And we're kind of like, and then we get to Doctor Strange and like, well, nothing really happened.
Yeah.
It was good, but it was like, and it's not their fault. They never promised us anything.
Yeah.
But we're kind of spoiled by it. But the fact with Star Wars is we're not expecting anything.
Nope.
We're not like this is, we know what happens.
We know the beginning and we know the end.
We've seen all these characters.
Yep.
Like we know when everybody dies, how everybody dies, but it's like, this is cool.
Exactly.
You're exploring stuff. Now, to the contrary, as you were talking about the movies doing stuff like different.
Yeah.
Taika Waititi, he's supposed to do a Star Wars movie. And I've actually seen an article and he goes, yeah, this is going to be removed from everything. It's going to be new characters, new time period.
Good.
He's like, look, it's Star Wars, kind of going along what you were saying.
Yeah.
He's like, you got to make this thing bigger.
Exactly.
Like it's outer space and we're just small.
And we're just focusing on Skywalkers.
Yeah,
it's
even
literally the Skywalker saga.
But even like, okay, so and there's ways to do it good, but yeah, cinematically, no, I don't need to see like Luke's other grandchildren or the people that Rey trained. Like that's as far as saga. Now, when you explore Luke, like in the Mandalorian and Boba Fett, or if like Mandalorian's time period. It's that little sweet spot that nobody's talked about much. Same as this, that little sweet, the little sweet spots of time and the cast of characters. So he could, like, if he goes far away and just totally different stuff happening.
Yeah.
Or
even if they just went through Clone Wars again, but it was like, here's some Plo Koon.
Yeah, just
you know
a different Clone Wars story.
A different Clone Wars story.
Yeah.
Even if they go through these same time periods, there are so many more Jedi, so many more species of alien and all that kind of stuff and lifestyles and cultures that you can go through.
Yeah, and it doesn't
and
need to
we're just
be
kind of seeing it just a linear way.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be part of the big picture. It can just be like this story of this dude. I think the other thing is like get away from the trilogies. I think they're learning that. Like, wow,
we can see standalone stuff.
Yeah, and I would rather go see one movie with a beginning and end because, like we said, if you're waiting for the next thing and then it's a letdown, that's the part that's a little like if you were to say like The Last Jedi, like it took risks and it kind of went off the beaten path. Right or wrong, but then like the one after that, they're like, oh god, they didn't like any of that. Let's play it safe and let's just give them like the best. They were really trying to do like an Avengers ending. Like let's give them the grand, give them what they want. Just give them all the stuff they like, and then I'm like, you walk out of there like that meant what did I get out of that?
Exactly.
Like I got like what was that? What was the point of all of that?
Yep.
And it just didn't need to be done. And then you get stories like this. Like you get this story, and you and me joke that it's still there. It is still there to the fact that like the scenery seems small.
Yeah.
Like even when Hayden was like looking at Coruscant, like I noticed it. I actually watched this one 4 times. I did like to watch it, to take notes, and I did one more before we started recording, just to like that.
Yeah.
But I was like, I saw like one ship flying.
Yeah.
Which is okay. It didn't take me out because the story is so good. The story and what they're doing is so good. You don't need all that.
And you know what caught me on that too is the scale size of the cargo ship when Vader was stopping it.
Yeah.
It seemed a lot smaller for it to be an escape cargo ship that's carrying couple hundred people off. It seemed like a cruiser size.
Yeah, a lot of that the ship stuff wasn't. And the part that I don't understand is it can't be a budgeting or technology issue because this isn't happening on The Mandalorian.
Nope.
So I don't know why it's like that. Mm-hmm. I really don't. And this director has worked on Mandalorian stuff. That's Deborah. I can't remember the specific episode, but she did it. So I don't know why this seems like lower budget.
Yeah.
I don't. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't take me out of it because, like we said, this was awesome.
It's just a little.
It's just a little.
All.
Yeah. It's just. I think. Well, I'm just curious about it. Did they? I mean, I know a lot of things were like, was this thing filmed like during the height of COVID? Because I know that stuff messed up certain like slowed down productions of things, and it's
access
very
to certain things and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and maybe this thing was being filmed before Mandalorian, the second season. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's just like I said, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't take. I want to feel like I said, I love this episode. I think it's very good for the saga and everything it's doing.
Definitely. I love this episode for sure. I even had to rewind it. Especially when Vader was going through the whole thing with Reva.
The Vader-Reva fight was awesome.
I rewinded. I was like, I got to go back and watch that again.
Yeah, he just like I said, he moved more like Vader than the hallway scene in Rogue One. The hallway scene in Rogue One was cool. It was like, okay, he's capable of it, but this was like, okay, I could see this Vader fighting Obi-Wan in A New Hope.
Yes.
And that was something that I took a lot more of from this scene. Mm-hmm. Because like one of the lines Vader says to Obi-Wan is, when I last left you, and obviously George Lucas wrote all this stuff, and he tried to line everything up, but certain lines you could actually make them better. Like when Vader says to Obi-Wan, when I last left you, I was the learner, now I am the master.
Yeah.
So instead of saying like, when I last met you, you chopped my legs off, it's like, oh no, you like actually, because Vader kind of picked up like, oh, Obi-Wan's schooling me right now.
Yeah.
And it's like he come out of that mind frame like, I ain't letting him pull that again on me. Like he used my anger against me.
Yeah.
And I think maybe because Hayden had said in interviews, he was like, well, this version of Vader is younger and he's trying to feel himself out.
Yep.
Which, yeah. I mean, dark side or not, he's new at this.
I was gonna say I kind of like it because it almost echoes off of what they tried to do with Kylo Ren, but they made Kylo Ren way too emotional.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It kind of echoes off that young Vader that they wanted because I feel like that's what they try to do with Kylo.
Yeah,
is give that young Vader feel, but they're nailing it with this one.
Yeah, and now that you say it, I see those shades of like more power.
Exactly.
Like I see those shades of Kylo.
Yeah,
but what it does is at some point, I think Vader calms down by A New Hope. And I see an Emperor thing coming too, because I think I don't know if they know what Reva knew, that grabbing because some of the Inquisitors know that grabbing the Leia would draw Obi-Wan out.
Yeah.
So what is it that makes them not try this again? Mm-hmm. What I think it is like maybe the Emperor puts the kibosh on this because, like I said, they're still playing ball at the Senate.
Yeah.
And he's like, look, you're getting carried away here with this Obi-Wan thing.
Yeah.
Like we got bigger fish here. Go hang out with Tarkin. I'm building this thing or something to that effect. Like, you got to calm down because I don't think because over through time Inquisitors disappear and stuff, and that'll probably a lot of them are killed in Rebels, but I feel like that's more of a thing. Like what keeps them from trying that again?
Yeah.
That's why I think, because Ian McDiarmid said something at a comic convention, like, oh, you'll feel my presence during, let's just say a little show being filmed right now. So it's either Obi-Wan or Andor. But I could see that, like a little resolution, like a little hologram message from the Emperor, just like, what are you doing? Things like that.
Yeah, I think it'll pop up.
Yeah.
I think it's almost needed.
Yeah. Yeah, something to just like really put like he did at the end of episode 3. Like let's put all the pieces where they need to be,
even if it's just a hologram.
Yeah,
which most likely I feel like it would be.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, a lot of his cameos are just holograms.
Yeah, and it's just more or less it kind of goes with the continuity that like
they play in the shadows.
Yeah, because they show like even in Return of the Jedi that he goes, well, the Emperor is coming. He's not as forgiving as I am when they're building the second Death Star. And everybody's like, so, like the Emperor's coming? Like that was like, I think they haven't alluded to it. I mean, they haven't delved into it that much, but I think the idea is the Emperor was very secluded and aloof.
Yeah,
like I've actually read that somewhere, but it kind of makes sense that he doesn't come running for everything.
Nope.
Now he would come running for a second Death Star.
Yeah.
Yes, but you're not going to like come.
He's that myth of almost like, is he real?
Yeah.
He's like that urban legend.
Yeah.
That everybody's kind of like fearing. Like they know Vader's real, but there's something, a bigger bad than Vader, you know?
And that's something I'm interested to see in Andor too, that I think we're going to see, because you see Mon Mothma actually at the Galactic Senate.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that caught me, because I'm like, I want to actually see kind of like the politics of what's going on, because they were trying to touch it on in episode 3 and actually scrapped like some undeleted scenes because they didn't fit the pace of the story.
Yeah.
But now you have room to tell that kind of stuff, because once again, TV, you could explore and stuff.
Yeah. That's the point I'm at watching Star Wars, and I was talking about it earlier, is like, so I've watched Star Wars in my lifetime over maybe 3 times in its whole entirety.
Yeah.
Once as a teenager.
Uh-huh.
Once as like 21, 23 or whatever, and then now I'm 30 and I'm watching it again. So now I'm watching it and I'm seeing like the political side of it, the grander scale of like what was actually going on. Why are these factions fighting? Like, you know, the politics side. It's amazing how many times you can watch this and get so many different layers from it. Because I want to say when I watched it was like 21, 23 or whatever, it was more the emotional connections that were made between the characters.
Yeah.
You know?
Even like when you watch going back to like Obi-Wan when he's watching the message.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you must come with me. Like he's talking to Luke. And I think he kind of knows, like, okay, this is what we've been waiting for. It's go time.
Yeah.
Bail knows what Obi-Wan's doing there. So for Bail to say, yo, Obi-Wan, we need you, is big stuff.
Yeah.
That it gives more weight to that. Because he's saying, no, I got to take you out of your post again.
Yeah.
Because this is what you've been waiting for. It's not going to get bigger than this.
Yeah.
They're building a Death Star. So it's like, you know, get off the bench, buddy. And Obi-Wan kind of knows that. He goes, oh, you must come with me. And then, you know, it's going to give more. Like I said, I watched a little bit of that, but that's going to hit you different too. Because I'm going to go through the whole saga myself.
Yeah.
I think the sequels might deserve a revisit.
They do.
I think so, because I think maybe like the prequels. So like
there might be some redeeming qualities in them.
And the same thing is like, okay, so like, you know, like the prequels weren't well received in the beginning.
Yeah.
And that was your first Star Wars. Okay. So the sequels is somebody's first Star Wars.
Yeah.
There's little girls that dress up as Rey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if they felt like the third one fell flat, they're not thinking as hard as we are about it. Because if you think about Return of the Jedi, besides the Anakin Luke stuff, it was like a bunch of Ewoks, and you know there was some silly stuff there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like compared to, you know, everything had the whole series just had ups and downs.
Stormtroopers in the butt with rocks and stuff.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we would have made fun of that. Like if there was an internet back then, it would be like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, meme central.
Yeah, meme central. Like here's a piece of wood and a string, and now all of a sudden, you know, the things that bother people are so funny now.
Yeah,
the thing's never been perfect. But I'm curious about that too, especially Last Jedi. Because like looking at it again, maybe without the expectations. Because when we saw it first, like, oh, Luke's back. What's Luke going to be like? And we're all like, I don't like this Luke. But maybe we'll look at it again and be like,
and we can understand this Luke, why that Luke is that way.
Yeah. And then even
I think that's what they do the best about this whole Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
It's like you keep seeing different time periods. You might not understand it. But then you look at it again from a later piece or an earlier piece, and it's like, okay, I can understand. It's like mentality standpoints of each character.
Well, even the stuff they're doing in The Mandalorian, they're kind of, you can kind of see that they know the sequels are coming.
Yeah.
They're not pretending it's not happening. And that's happened with the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars helped enhance the Anakin, Obi-Wan, and make them cooler and explore them and get to know them more. And I think they're going to kind of do that. Like I definitely think the stuff with like Grogu and then wanting his blood and the Jedi stuff. I think they're even hinting at it Obi-Wan too.
Yeah.
Like the kidnapping of like the tombs for Jedi. I think it's all working towards that. Palpatine's already thinking of cloning himself.
Yeah.
But
I got that feeling too when I saw those Jedis. Like, why else would you keep their bodies?
You want the midichlorians, and it's funny because people used to laugh at midichlorians, but now even like Moff Gideon said it to the Mandalorian, like his midichlorian, like just like it's like, no, sorry, George Lucas made it. It's here now.
Yeah,
we're rolling with this, and but also like they're showing kind of like the First Order, like there's remnants of the Empire, which is actually pretty realistic. It's not like you blow up the Death Star and the Emperor and everybody just goes, oh, we're out of work. You got a bunch of troops and captains around. Yeah. You'd have to whittle that down. But I had read an article before that they're saying that Ahsoka and Luke having that relationship that they have, that could kind of clear up a lot of stuff too, because she could tell Luke more about like her father and things that went down. And don't forget, Ahsoka's been burned by the Jedi as well.
Yeah.
So that might change his perspective, and it might actually and I don't know if they're thinking that hard.
And that's what kind of causes him to be jaded to where we saw him.
Yeah, like, and I mean, there's the building of the temple that Kylo burns down. That's the exact temple. So it's like they're acknowledging the sequels, and they're saying, so maybe it's different things, like, and maybe it'll be in little tidbits, but it would be more like, okay, like even just as simple as like, hey, the Jedi weren't always right. And I know you think your dad turned to the dark side, but let me tell you about the council. Exactly. We've said it before. Yeah. The council didn't have their hands clean.
Exactly.
They were just, and that just to point out that they're nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
And then when he would take his Kylo thing as more of a failure, because he could say, Jedi are wrong. Mm-hmm. So I could fail. And it would make it, then we'd watch it again and be like, and we could just watch it again and just think that in our heads. But now maybe it makes a little more sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that's, as much as we can complain about some of the stuff, I think that's one of the greatest things that they're doing with this.
Yeah.
Is that it just makes it rewatchable.
Yeah.
All of this Star Wars stuff is rewatchable. And each time you rewatch it, it's like another layer or like a different take on it, or you can go delve deeper into it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I definitely want to see them again. I mean, I almost think we need to see Jar Jar again, just to like.
I hope so.
I think so. I think we'd all
something with him.
I think we would all think it's cool.
Yeah.
I think we're all grown ups. You know what I mean? We're not like, oh no, he ruined it, because he didn't.
He didn't.
Where is he?
Yeah.
Just see him for like 2 seconds running a shop, or is he in the Senate, or I don't know.
I think Jar Jar was in a way one of the first memes. Before memes were a meme, they just wanted to blame it on him.
But even they did stuff with him in the Clone Wars, and they made him a little. They still kept him, but they made him work for the story.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and they started including him more with the Senate and all that.
Yeah, so there's things that could, like I was saying, and it's cool that they don't throw anything in the trash. It's like you got to work with what you got. Yeah. So that's why. But this is very promising, because this Obi-Wan thing was very like bold.
It was,
because this could have been like. Even though like I even said like people with these continuity issues, but this stuff happened before with the prequels and things, because people say things like, well, how does Leia say, I kind of remember my mom visions, and you could interpret it, well, okay, as a baby she remembers, or maybe she's whatever, but that's okay.
Force intuitive, like I said last episode.
Yeah, but it also goes away. Like people say that, but they're still watching it. Mm-hmm. So I think whatever people's gripes are, and plus the internet's there and people are more vocal.
Yeah,
but really, I think generically people are liking this show's numbers-wise a hit. Yeah. I think people are liking it. And I have no doubt, like, next episode, because I don't even know what I'm hoping for next episode.
I don't either.
You know what I mean?
I don't have any, like, honestly, like, I wouldn't say it could end right now and I'd be satisfied, but I'm satisfied after this episode.
Yeah.
I don't have any craving of wanting more.
Yeah, because, like, the fight with Obi-Wan and Vader, it's like if they fight again, it's just going to be like, what little more things are they going to say? That's the more interesting thing, because they both walk away from that alive. So that's, you know what I mean? Everybody's going to be, Luke's not in danger. But it's almost like, is it just going to be the resolution and just, if it's a small scale thing, or are they going to do that one last big thing, the Qui-Gon thing? But anyway, like, from what we've seen, I would just say the show's a success right now.
Definitely.
If it just went out on a whimper. So we got one more Obi-Wan show, the end of the season, so make sure you tune in for that. Maybe I think we're going to try to squeeze in another keto show, too, because I got to round in the keto trilogy. But, Khiim, once again, thanks for being here.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
And we will see you guys.